The first plant of the devil is ash-shirk. Ibn al-Qayyim rahmatullah ta'ala alayhi, he mentioned 7 of the plants of the devil that he does not play with them. The first one is ash-shirk. That is associating partners in the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second one is al-bid'ah. Al-bid'ah is unlegislative means of worship. Something that looks like worship, but it is not. If a person does that, Allah rejects his worship. Number 3, he mentioned al-kaba'ir min az-zunub, the major sins that a Muslim may commit and the devil will be happy. The 4th is as-sagha'ir min az-zunub, the minor sins. The 5th is al-mubahat, trying to deceive a believer in an act of lawful matters, some things that are already good in accordance to the book of Allah and the Sunnah, but the devil is going to find a way to deceive you through good things. And number 5, is it 5 or 6? 5 is number 6. And number 6 is making you prefer that which is less important to that which is necessary and important. You know how sometimes we focus on what is less important instead of focusing on what is so important that when we do, Allah is going to be happy with us and Allah is going to get us closer to His mercy. And number 7 is at-tahrish, the devil's instigation. And that is through an act of making people belittle your acts of worship until you feel like, let me just leave it. Let me just leave it. Until it becomes like you're the only one doing it. Even though it's something that gets you closer to Allah. But because people hate it, the devil may utilize that until you also quit it. So you become one with any other person that does evil. May Allah save us. Those are the 7 matters. Subhanallah. And the scholars mentioned that we have more than the ones that we just mentioned. But Ibn Qayyim quoted these 7 in his book, Bada'i'u al-Fawaid, warning the Ummah, telling the Ummah to learn and practice them so they will be able to fight back when the devil fights them. The first one we mentioned, ash-shirk. What is shirk? Ibn al-Qayyim rahmatullah ta'ala alayhi, he says the devil will deceive and lure you to do shirk in so many ways, and be careful. Shirk is associationism or partnering with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the matters of worship. To associate partners in the worship of Allah, it is shirk. According to Ibn Uthman, may Allah preserve him, one of the outstanding scholars of knowledge. I think one time he gave us class here in this masjid. May Allah preserve him and his family. He says, shirk is to associate a partner with Allah in the things that are exclusively for Allah, like worship You don't worship none but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once you begin to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you start to worship others besides Allah, then you're doing shirk. And this is very, very dangerous. Allah hates a person that does shirk. Through an act of acquiring knowledge, we'll be able to preserve ourselves from the evil of shirk. Allah says in the Quran, Allah ta'budu illallah. Allah has commanded us that we worship none but Allah, but Him, and only Him alone. Examples of shirk are many, and we can give very few, like the devil's worship, worshiping the devils, the shayateen and the like, worshiping the jinns, and also excessive praise and veneration of some sort of sheikhs, awliya, that we call them protectors, preservers, to the extent of serving and worshiping them. And sometimes they even tell us not to worry about our worship, they got our back on the day of judgment. And we feel good about it. And this is dangerous. May Allah save us. And also calling the names of evil spirits. And some people, they go and unite with the jinns. And the jinns, they're going to give them some names that they be calling each and every now and then in order to get what they want in the matters of life. Zaga Zagaya Ilu, Sahaba Babila, Haytalush. And sometimes these names come with the names and ayats of the Quran and some surahs in the Quran. Bismillah 2, Aramani 2, and you don't know their meanings. You don't know the meaning of what you're saying. Right? May Allah save us. If a person is misguided from the path of Allah, that's how he does it, his worship. And it's dangerous. May Allah save us. So Ibn al-Qayyim, he mentions the first trap for the devil, ash-shaytan, is to make sure that you fall into shirk. And by doing shirk, he knows you are condemned. And when you die, Allah is not going to forgive you. And by now, he gets somebody to be with him in the hellfire. Subhanallah. Allah says in the Quran, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَن يُشْرَكَ بِهِ وَيَغْفِرُ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ وَمَنْ يُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ فَقَدْ افْتَرَى إِثْمًا عَظِيمًا. Verily, Allah forgives not that partners should be set up with Him in worship, but He forgives except that anything else to whom He wills. And whoever sets up partners with Allah in worship, he has indeed invented a tremendous sin. This has been mentioned in the Quran 4 verse 4:8. That is Surah An-Nisa. In the same chapter, in verse 116, Allah says, and whoever sets up partners in worship with Allah has indeed strayed far away. So you see the point. He knows if you commit the shirk, the major shirk, and you die in that regard, you're going to be with him in the hellfire because Allah does not forgive you. And Allah has mentioned this in the Quran. So for the devil, the first trap is going to be shirk. Ibn Uthman, Hafidahullah Ta'ala, he says, by doing shirk, your worship, your acts of righteousness become fruitless and rewardless. Because by doing shirk, all your righteous actions are wiped off. Subhanallah. And you remember, we keep repeating all the time, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. You alone do we worship, and you alone do we seek help. So the translation